Alright, so in this video, we're going to learn how to use Excel in conjunction with SQL to help build out scripts. So this is a pretty common example where you may get a spreadsheet where specific columns need to be updated for records within a SQL table. And, it could be a very long list and you don't want to have to write the scripts manually. What you can do is you can kind of parameterize them within SQL or within Excel and have it generate the script for you. So I'm going to walk through an example of how we could do this. So I'm going to come over here to sample database I have set up. This is SQL Server Management Studio. So within here, under the sales demo, I'm going to be looking at our products table. So let me just pull in a couple of these to show you an example of how the table looks. So this is a pretty basic, really simple table. Product ID, name, and price. So for this example, what I'll do is I want to update all the prices where they're currently 0 and just plug in a random number. So let's do that. So I'm going to first off plug in a parameter here just to get the price 0. Alright, so as you can see, if we look in the bottom right corner, we have 48 rows that we're going to update here. So what I'll do is I'm just going to copy this and come over to Excel and paste it in here. And what we'll now do is we're going to create our column for our script. Another just good habit to get into is anytime you're working with data within Excel that's in a table format, is to insert a table on it. What that'll do is when we're plugging in these calculations, it'll automatically apply it to all rows in the table. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to say, update the products table, set the price equal to a random value that we're gonna spin up, where the product ID equals the product ID here. So to do that, let me first go back into Management Studio and just kind of show you a quick example of what we're actually doing. So with this top guy right here, product number 4, we're going to be updating this value. So how we would actually do that is we would plug in update, and then we'll just grab this. So we're going to update the products table, set price equal to blah, where product ID equals our value. Alright, so this is going to be the example. So we're just going to plug in product ID 4 here, and we'll plug in $50. Oh, my number locks on. There it is. Alright. So now if I do this, and then we just say where product ID equals 4. We'll comment this out right here. So now as we can see here, we have our value. So prior to doing this, obviously, in this example, it's pretty simple. But you're going to want to obviously check the data types of the columns you're updating to make sure it will actually work. So a couple examples of how you can do that is if you navigate to the actual table itself and go to design, you'll be able to see the column names, the data type, and so on. Another example is you can also use some of the stored procedures that are already in SQL. So for example, there's one where it's exec sp columns, and then you just plug in your table name. And this will kind of give us a little bit more information. So as you can see here, we have our columns, we have our data types, so on and so forth, the length. So that's all good information. So when you're doing more advanced scripts, you're going to have to obviously go through all that and make sure you're, you might have to pad some columns or something like that. And also, before we get into the Excel part, I just want to show you another example here that can be useful to help you kind of generate these scripts. So what you can always do is within the table, you can go to script table as, and this will create a template for you. So if you wanted to do like an insert query, we can kind of show you how that would look. This will give us our base. So, this kind of gives you your base, and then you would just plug in your values down here. So that applies to like deleting, updating, inserting, all that good stuff, selecting. So anyways, all right, so we have this script here. This is what we're going to be working with. So let's go back, let's copy that and come back over to Excel. And I'm just going to paste it in here to start. I'm also going to insert another column here. And this is going to be our new price. So in your case, in a real world example, you'll probably be given a spreadsheet saying these are what we need to update the values with. But in this case, we're just making stuff up, so just as an example. So I'm just going to use ran between, and I can just plug in two values, and it will just my minimum and my maximum. So I'll just say between 1 and 200. All right, so now we have a value for each of those rows. I'm just going to copy that and paste it as values so it doesn't keep updating. All right, so now we're going to come back over to our script here. So what we'll need to do is plug in an equal sign, and we want this text. So to insert text, what you do is you put in a double quote. So double quote, so update sales demo, where, well, let me close it up for now and just put it at the end. So as you can see, that generates, it automatically puts that formula for all the rows. So now we're going to go back and actually parameterize the price value as well as the product ID. So similarly here, we're going to put in another double quote, and within those two double quotes, this is where we're going to select the price, the new price. So between the double quotes, you also need two ampersands. So that's just pretty much like adding, it's concatenating. So I'm going to select my new price there. I'm also going to do the same thing for the product ID. So double quote, ampersands as well. And then we will select our product ID. So as you can see, within each row, it has our specific product ID here, as well as our new price. So this theory works for anything. If you're updating, deleting, or inserting, you can kind of use the same kind of logic. So from here, what I'll do is I'm going to grab this, I'm going to copy it, and then just hop right back into Management Studio. I'll paste it in, and we'll run. So after we do that, we'll come back over here and run our query just to validate. And we should get 0 records returned. Yep. So as you can see, that's an example of how you would parameterize your values within Excel, and then you can come back into SQL and actually run them. Thanks.